Iran is on fire. Iran is on fire. The people had enough of the corruption of the government, the mullahs, the killing of free thinking, tearing down the Iranian women's rights, and the poverty that the Islamic leadership has caused. And Iran is literally on fire, and throughout its cities, people are marching on the streets and burning down and protesting Big Brother. And it's pretty amazing. Now, many of the people don't understand why this is happening, and this is happening because of America's sanctions. And that's why I've been doing videos saying that America dollar is being used as a weapon. They've been weaponizing it, and millions of people are suffering around the world. For example, in Venezuela, the same thing is happening. In other countries, the same thing happening, because when there's a sanction, the people that actually get hurt are the average working class, the middle class, because the elites and people in the Big Brother, they don't get the side effects of a sanction. Not in America, not in Canada, not in Saudi Arabia, not in Iraq, not in Iran, not in Hong Kong. The people, the working class, the majority of the people will feel the effect of the sanctions, which, is true. America has caused this revolution that has happened in Iran, and that's why many people say that the CIA overthrows hundreds of governments all over the world, and it's true, okay? Because the sanctions and other things involved has caused, a revolution in Iran, and I'm for it because I know the tyranny that the mullahs have caused. I know the tyranny of not having a separation of church and state can cause, because that's the same thing happened to America. That's why we had the revolution. That was one of the reasons we had the revolution back in the days, is because we wanted to get a separation of church and state. We want to get a separation of central bankers and state. And now in America, what's made America so great is because we do have that separation of church and state. Well, in Iran, that's not it. The mullahs or the priests are also the same people that run the government. So they delude and they fearmonger people into, like, if you don't do this, then you're not going to go to heaven, if I could use the simple words, okay? And because of their religion, they're able to manipulate people to do things that normally a big brother wouldn't be able to do that, okay? So I'm going to let you watch some videos that's happening live in Iran, and let's move forward. So what this guy is saying is the Khomeini, which is the leader of the Islamic Revolution back in the days when they threw out the Shah, or the king of Iran, the puppet that America had installed. Okay. Now what's on fire is Khomeini's ring, because he apparently had a ring. I don't like Khomeini. Again, I don't like the government in Iran. So they're showing right now that the ring of Khomeini, which is, he's already dead, okay, the supreme leader, they're burning it up, okay? Here's a very important video that shows that why it's so great for Americans to be able to bear arms. Because what you see in Iran is that the police, the government is shooting at unarmed civilians with, AKs and machine guns, and the people still come forward and attack the police. So again, because in Iran and many other countries around the world, the government is the only one that can have arms, guns, and the people are not allowed to have guns. And this is the same exact thing that's happening in Iran. That's why in America it's a great country, because we have the rights to bear arms. The people have the right to bear arms against tyranny. And, well, the Iranian people don't have the right to bear arms. People in Iran don't have guns, okay? And only the military will be able to have guns. And so what's happening is, you can see in this video that there's a police officer. He's just shooting into the crowd, live rounds, and he's killing people, but he's being overrun by a wave of protesters are saying, "Screw you, dude. We want our freedom." So let's take a watch.
برای مردم که نه تفنگی دارن نه چیزی.
This video shows this lady talking about where she's driving in her local city and she sees a bunch of military vans, high tech. All the military guys have big rifles in their hand, and she's saying that, look, the people of Iran, we don't even have guns, but because of the government trying to protect its interest, and they brought massive amount of military with fancy equipment, fancy guns, and the people were poor and to defend their dictatorship, and she's just documenting it. Okay, now your question to yourself may be, why are people uprising? Why is this happening? Well, like I said, the primary reason is that sanctions, the dollar, weaponization of the dollar has starving kids, women, and people can't take it anymore. Okay, and because of the sanctions, what has happened is that the government has increased the prices of gas by 50%. So fuel, like if you want to put fuel in your car, now imagine going to the pump and it was $4 and now it's going to be $9. Okay, overnight, not slowly, just overnight, there was a 50% increase in the cost of fuel. Now, over the last year, there's been over 200% increase in the cost of living. Okay, and that happens because of sanctions, which is a primary, but it leads into printing of money. The central bank of Iran prints so much money, which causes inflation, and that's why I've been talking about how there's civil unrest all over the globe because of inflation being printed, which makes the people not be able to afford. Now, not the elites, not the government, okay, but the actually middle class, the working class, because of inflation, because of the elites, because of the government trying to stay in power, they print and print and print, okay, and which causes poverty, just kind of like what's happening in America right now, okay? In the repo market, the Fed is bailing out at a tune of $120 billion a day, not million, $1 billion a day. And it's been over 2 months, and no one's even talking about it. No one even cares, guys. We want to watch a sports game or what's happening with their stars, right? Hollywood stars. But no one cares about what's happening in America, which is central bankers are printing money. Big Brother is spending more than it should, and is getting in more into debt, which is making central bankers, the Fed, print more money, which means is diluting our buying power, which means is diluting our savings, which means is making the middle class, the working class, more in poverty, and it's creating the separation of the elites and the peasants. And that's when you have too much of that, you'll have civil unrest, and you can see it right now in Iran, you can see it in France, you can see it in Paris, you can see it in Chile, you can see it in so many Latin American countries, you can see it in Asia, Hong Kong, you can see it all over the world because the elites have just not acted properly, and they were only in their own interest, just like the Iranian government, right? And the people are suffering and suffering. Now in Iran, the U.S. sanctions is 90% role of why the uprising has happened. But that said, I'm not for the Islamic mullahs in Iran, because that's one of the reasons I'm in America, because they don't give you any freedom, right? They want to be up in your ass, tell you how to do it, when to do it, and how you should dress. It's like any other government in the world. I think governments are suppressors of freedom, not the liberation of freedom. It doesn't matter what part of the country, the world you're in. Some governments are more better slave masters, and versus other governments like Iran, where they're like totally abusing you. But there's only certain amount that people can eat, and if people cannot eat anymore, they could last for a little bit more. And if their kids are starving, their kids are crying, then people just get up on the street and they become mad, dude. And the proof is, that's why we're seeing a global civil unrest all over the globe, guys, from Chile to Hong Kong to Iran, because the people cannot live like this. The elites, we have a system, if it's the Iranian system, if it's the Hong Kong system, if it's the capitalism in America, where the elites cipher up the river the riches of the people. The people are the one that have to do all the work, and their kids have worse lives than a decade ago because of central printing of money, okay? The creation of fake money. And in Iran, not is that only the problem, the creation of fake money, which has caused the price of things to accelerate, food, bread, and now gas has 50% overnight, guys. And see, guys, even though Iran is one of the most powerhouses of gas, because of the sanctions, Iran cannot refine all their natural resources, and nor can they sell it to anyone else because of America. So a couple of things to take away from that: when the people, doesn't matter if you're in India, China, Pakistan, or America, when the people cannot pay for their living because of too much inflation, which means too much printing of money, okay, that all hell is going to break loose. Doesn't matter what part of the world you are. And two, that we need a separation from church and state, which we already have in America, but not in Iran. And in my opinion, we also need a separation of finances from Big Brother. Okay, so we need to separate monetary from the state, because in Iran there's not a separation between the government and the clergies, the mullahs, the priest. There's massive dictatorship. There's massive tyranny. The same thing is happening also in America, because there's not a separation of finances and the state. Big Brother is constantly printing money. Big Brother is constantly meddling in all these other countries' governments, going to war and overspending and getting the American citizen more and more into debt because of their misfortune of spending. Not only in America and in Canada and Germany, all these countries that subscribe to fractional reserve lending, end of the day, they hang their citizens because of their own interest. And I think if we separate the monetary from the state, like Bitcoin, right, that is not inflationary, it's not a small amount of people get to own it and print it, but it's something that no one owns, no one controls, there's no CEO, and we separate that from the state. That way the state does not have the ultimate power, because it can just print the printing machine versus everyone else has to go to work. And I think the next revolution of the world would be the separation of money from the state. Because in some countries like America and Great Britain, we already have a separation of religion in the state, and we can see how much more freedom we have. Now, if we separate the state from the money, we'll even have more freedom and more prosperous for the people, because, it'll create free trade. For example, if we have Bitcoin, I know exactly what it costs to buy something in Hong Kong, even if I don't speak Hong Kongian or whatever, or China or Iran, because it'll be put in Bitcoins, and everyone will understand what a 0.0003 of a Bitcoin will be, a Satoshi will be, right? So it's going to invite commerce, it's going to invite world peace, because if you trade with people that don't look like you, the odds of going to war with them is so much less than if you are what Trump's doing, being a protectionism and, fighting with everyone through trade wars and sanctions. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click the like button. If you want to learn how to get into the real estate game, definitely join my profit sharing. Go to mrnoflip.com. We meet every Saturday right from your computer. If you're broke and you want to make some money fast, and you should definitely look into the new Flip, where I teach you how to play the game with only $100 and make 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 6x, and on. Not only have I done it, my students have done it. To get more information about the new Flip, go to thenewflip.mrnoflip.com, or just go to my main website at myrealestatedojo.com. Thank you so much for watching. Click the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace.